Smash Mouth Sports. I'm your host, as always, Preston Bailey. We are excited. I almost got into a bare knuckle fight just getting over here, so that's how you know this show is going to be good. That's how you know it. Because tonight is the Lightning in the playoffs, but we're not going to be talking about that. But I thought the traffic was insane. I was like, oh, my God, here we go. I don't know why they keep doing these games early. It seems like the games are getting earlier and earlier and earlier, 6:30, 7:30, these early start times. Tonight's a little bit later than they normally do it. But that's not about that. Tonight, what it's about is Tim Tebow, the great Tim Tebow, the great man. Oh, he's not a great quarterback. And blah, blah, blah. Well, who cares?
He's a great man.
Who pissed in your cornflakes? You can write that down, okay? This ain't, this is not going to be a lovey-dovey video. I'm getting so tired of all these haters on Facebook and Twitter and all these platforms talking about all this and that, and it's about of course it's about who you know, genius. It's about who you know. Of course it is. So yes, this is the perfect storm for Tim Tebow. He's switching to tight end. Okay, tried the quarterback route. Didn't work out quite what he wanted to. He bounced around him on baseball. Didn't work out quite. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, Tim Tebow is the American dream.
He is.
So with me is Cam Vieira. Cam, let's go to you two. And let's just get your quick comment on, will Tim Tebow make the Jaguars great again? We've got Tebow and Donald Trump, two polarizing figures. I figured I'd get a little juice, get everybody started. So let's give your take about Tim Tebow. Let's hear it.
Oh, he's 100% going to make them great again. Tim Tebow is going to bring so much joy to the Jaguars organization, and Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, and they're the talk of the offseason. They had the number one pick. They got Trevor Lawrence, and then they signed Tim Tebow. I'm ecstatic. Tim Tebow's a great guy. He deserves another shot in the NFL with his former college coach, and if you disagree, you're simply a moron. He's done nothing wrong to anybody. He wasn't a great quarterback, fine. He's a great human being, and he's earned this second shot. Absolutely. He's willing to change positions, which should tell you plenty. That's how badly he wants this.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out. And it's ironic that I created this thumbnail a week ago, and Donald Trump is in the news. We'll get to Donald Trump again. But I want to focus on Tim Tebow, at least the first half of the show here. But here's what I want to get to. Trevor Lawrence, I said this last week, and people just get so lost in their feelings they can't even see straight. Is anybody saying, now that he's shifted over to tight end, that he's the greatest tight end in the league? No, nobody's saying that. But I'm going to pull up the numbers here. Okay, I'm going to pull up the numbers here of all these great tight ends that everybody's fantasizing about. All these great tight ends. Let me see if we can find it here. And we're going to bring it up. But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence said today regarding Tim Tebow, he loves being around Tim Tebow. He's a great guy to have around. And of course, he's a great guy to be around. Tim Tebow brings the energy. Tim Tebow brings the hammer. So whether he's a tight end, I don't know if you've ever been in the tight end's room. Okay, tight ends are pretty boring, bland people. With the exception of Gronkowski, most tight ends are boring. Okay?
Correct.
Travis Kelce's basically boring. George Kittle's very boring. Never even really heard him speak that much. Most of these tight ends are – Evan Ingram's boring. Most of these guys are boring. They're not that exciting. They're not that interesting. Tim Tebow brings a lot. He brings the Wildcat. He brings, a backup quarterback element. He brings a goal line situation element. Not to mention the leadership. You don't think guys rally around Tebow? Of course they rally around Tebow. Of course they do. So Cam, I'm gonna bring this up because I was getting in here early. The hockey games, getting everybody derailed. So let's hear your thoughts on that.
Well, why does he not deserve a shot? What has he done so wrong? He's a great human being. He is a athletic player. He's a Heisman Trophy winner, as you said, national champion. Why does he not? What argument is there against him getting this second shot? He deserves it. And he has subjugated himself to the point where he's willing to switch positions to tight end. And is he going to be, Rob Gronkowski or Tony Gonzalez? No. But he's going to be, I think he can absolutely be an adequate tight end. Why couldn't he be?
Sure. And let's get into this. A lot of interesting stories, a lot of interesting week. We're going to come back to the tight end thing, but since, I want you to set the stage, okay, set the stage on exactly the Donald Trump story. I'm going to let you set the stage, and then I'm going to weigh in on it, but I want you to weigh in on it. You tell me.
Okay, so it was reported today that back in 2007, when Spygate happened with the Patriots, that there was a senator by the name of Arlen Specter who was going to launch a full congressional investigation into cheating in the NFL, like they did with steroids in baseball with the Wells report.
Right.
And obviously the center of this investigation was going to be Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, and the Patriots. And Arlen Specter one day got a call to go down to Mar-a-Lago and have dinner with Donald and Melania Trump.
Yep.
And he did. And all of a sudden, a couple of days later, the case was dropped. And now the belief is that Donald Trump got them to drop the investigation into the Patriots. Everybody knows that Kraft, Belichick, and Brady were all closely aligned with Trump for years. So this isn't a surprise to me at all. It shouldn't shock anybody. I'm not surprised at all that Trump did this. They're very good friends.
So here's the headline. The headline now on ESPN.com, you've got Mr. Kraft, you've got Mr. President Trump. Sources say Trump offered campaign cash to drop Spygate probe. Now, that is a very sensational, very polarizing headline. What was the year on that?
2007.
Okay, so Donald Trump was not a politician or a presidential candidate.
Nope, just hosting The Apprentice.
Okay, he was a TV show host. There's nothing wrong with what he did, correct?
At all.
There's nothing illegal. So let's say that 100% of what he did was true. Let's say that. Donald Trump didn't break any rules. But all you have to do, the reason why I put these guys together, Tim Tebow, Donald Trump, if you say either one of those names, people lose their mind.
Very polarizing people.
They totally black out and lose total control of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Looks like we got your guy in here early. He must love Tim Tebow. Cam, you want to introduce your guy here? Let's introduce your guy, Cam. Go ahead and introduce your guy.
This is Jared Smith. Jared, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Cam? Preston,
Good.
Thank you for having me.
What's going on? Thank you. Cam, that was a horrible introduction. When I say introduction, I didn't know if you were going to say this is the guy you battle with on Twitter or.
Oh, it is. It is.
We on the daily.
On the daily, you guys fight. Okay.
Oh, there have been numerous occasions.
Okay.
It's all friendly though. It's never anything personal. We disagree on sports, and we will roll up our sleeves and go 12 rounds.
Absolutely. So you go by JL?
I go by Jared, but that's my Twitter handle for
Jared.
Those of you at home.
Absolutely. So we definitely appreciate that. So Jared, let me ask you this. I told Cam to ask you, what are your thoughts on Tim Tebow overall? You like that he's coming back, or are you angered by like the mob? They can't even sit still. They're just so venom is pouring out of every orifice of their body.
So I'm not angered by it by any means. I understand not liking it just because when you have roster spots on an NFL team, you're going to have good players, a lot of talent there, and you're giving a potential spot to a 33-year-old former quarterback who just turned tight end. The aesthetics aren't exactly great on that one. However, I do understand the move for multiple reasons. Whether he makes it out of camp or not is still to be seen. But if he does make the roster, you have a number 1 overall pick quarterback who now has all the pressure, and this guy kind of lived that pressure. He wasn't a number 1 overall pick, but he did, come out of college, a name, a lot of pressure on him. He had a lot of success in college, so there was a lot of pressure for him to succeed at the NFL level. He can probably help Trevor Lawrence with that, taking the pressure off him, kind of walking him through these experiences, but also the pressure. I mean, it kind of takes the limelight off of Trevor Lawrence, which isn't a bad thing. And
exactly. That's my whole point. Look, everybody's losing their mind. Look, let's just look at the facts. Is Tim Tebow a polarizing guy? Yes. Does he give you everything he has? 100%. He's a leader. Okay. Yep. So who cares if he's the second tight end, the third tight end, the fourth tight end? It doesn't matter. I don't. My opinion is I don't care if he catches 3 passes his whole year. If he makes this roster, in my opinion, he is going to be more positive than negative. I know the media hates him. They're going to get they're going to get all juiced up about it. Like you said, you've got Trevor Lawrence. Yes, everybody thinks Trevor Lawrence is going to be this 10-time Pro Bowler, but to me, I think Trevor Lawrence is the luckiest guy in the room. Because Tim Tebow is just going to walk in. He's going to get all the attention, all the love, all the hate, all the everything. The writers are going to be like, oh my God, Tim Tebow had a vegan oatmeal for breakfast. What does this? And they're just going to lose their mind. Why does Tim Tebow hate meat? What is good? And there all these extra narratives that have nothing to do with anything. These writers are going to get juiced up. I would make an argument that as a business, Mr. Khan as the owner, I would argue Tim Tebow adds over $1 billion to this franchise if he makes this roster. Up to $1 billion or more from a TV revenue, from a jersey standpoint, from an overall marketability. Nobody cared about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody. They had Trevor Lawrence, which is great. Nobody was going to be talking about Jacksonville this year. There was many people that thought they might be the number 1 or number 2 pick again this year. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Jared, you're good.
All right. So I don't know. I mean, you make a lot of good points with that. I don't know how much he's really worth. He's definitely worth a lot of money to that team. I mean, we've already seen jersey sales alone.
Okay, let's call it $782 million if you think $1 billion's too strong. I mean, let's be real.
Over $500 million.
Let's be real. The reason I say that is because it's not because he's going to give them 12 or 13 wins. It's everybody has been talking. Nobody, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Nobody has been talking about the Bucs since Tim Tebow. It's all nobody's talking about the Chiefs. Nobody's talking about the Steelers. Nobody's talking. It's all Tim Tebow, the Jaguars. They hate Tim Tebow, and he doesn't deserve it. So, and you brought up some of those. So, Cam, let's go to you here, and then let's get this going here.
No, with Tebow, I think it's a great point. I mean, he's now the talk of the offseason. And when they come in for, they're doing the offseason training this week, that they're going to be talking to him as much as they're going to be talking to Trevor Lawrence. It's going to take some of the pressure off of him. And Trevor Lawrence is now viewed as the savior of this franchise. And so they can have Tebow there to take the pressure off. I think it's a great thing for him. Absolutely.
And people forget that he actually grew up in Jacksonville. So
correct.
He's huge in Florida. And obviously we know his success at the University of Florida. So he's an enormous figure in Florida alone. And we've seen the jersey sales have been number 1. And like you said, everyone's talking about him, not necessarily Trevor Lawrence. It's
right.
When Andrew Luck got drafted, what did everyone talk about? Andrew Luck. It was Andrew Luck's team, and it's all about Andrew Luck. Now Trevor Lawrence can kind of come in as this decade's Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning or John Elway, whoever you want to compare him to. He can come in and kind of slide under the radar. I don't know how good the team's going to be. I think it's also good for Urban Meyer because he kind of needs to slide under the radar too because he's got kind of a shady past. And, I mean, he already had the incident where he hired the strength and conditioning coach from Iowa State, I think it was, and who had like domestic abuse in his past, and then it blew up in his face. So I think it's a smart play on Urban Meyer's part too to bring in Tim Tebow.
Yeah, and I just want to say this, guys. Okay, yeah, he signed a 1-year deal, like $900,000 and change, which is a lot of money for regular people. In that world, that's a bargain basement deal. So you're talking about less than $1 million, and at the very least, you have substantially raised the overall profile of the Jaguars. So absolutely. I'm just saying, to me, there's no downside. I know the pundits are going to get juiced up, and how dare they? Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into these, because everybody's fantasizing about these great tight ends that are going to be homeless and unemployed. That is all these jobs. Tim Tebow's thinking about all these jobs from these great epic tight ends. Okay, let's name some of these tight ends, okay? Let's go right off the bat and say he would be, 32, okay? The 32nd best tight end, and I'm just going to go strictly by catches for the purposes of this conversation, is Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate was 32 in catches with 28, which is not that great. He's third on the Bucs roster. He's third. You've got Gronk, you've got O.J. Howard, and you've got Cameron Brate. So he's third on our roster, okay? Then let's go to the backups, okay? Now we're to the backups, okay? So now we're in the 30s. Kyle Rudolph, he also had 28. He retired. He's 36. Jordan Reed, he retired. He's 37. Jacob Hollister, I believe he's close to retiring. Not that great. I'm looking at these guys here. Okay, we're already down now. Now we're down in the 40s, and guys are barely catching 20 passes. David Njoku, who got injured, talented but injured. So we're in the 40s, so let's assume that he's in the low 50s to 60s as far as tight end grade, if you want to grade in that. if you want to get grade him that high. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's in the 50s and 60 range. Okay, let's keep going down a little bit further. Okay, now we're in the 50s. We're in guys that are averaging 1 catch a game. I don't know of another player on planet Earth where you could take a backup role like a Tim Tebow is going to do, maybe even a third string, and have that much of an impact to the bottom line. I'd love to hear you guys take on that.
There isn't one.
That's a good point. I mean,
we're talking about second and third string, jersey sales, TV ratings, polarizing every single show, and the guy that's going to be homeless and unemployed is a guy that's getting 14, 15, 16 catches. That's the guy that everybody's we're worried about, the 15 catch guy. That's the guy. I'm here to let you know, maybe there's one guy that would have got an extra year in the league with 14 catches. That's not a guy that's having a 10 or 15-year career getting 12 to 14 catches a year.
So from a business perspective and for the Jaguars, it's, you can't.
It's a no-brainer.
So there's a no-brainer. Why would you not do that? However, I don't think it's necessarily the tight end. It's the 53rd man on the roster, whatever we're going to do this year. And it's that last spot that you're taking, whether that's a special teams guy, whether that's a defensive back. It's not necessarily just based,
okay. We're worried about a kick returner. We're worried about a backup kicker. I mean, let's be real, guy.
This year is the perfect year to do it.
He was going to make millions of dollars. No, this is the life of the NFL. People that say this are not grasping reality. Guys are cut every single year.
Definitely.
Every year.
Absolutely.
In Tampa, I see a guy in the preseason games. The very next week, I see him at the Western Mall at the Foot Locker making minimum wage. Okay, so he gets cut from a great job. The very next week, he's trying to sell shoes. Okay, trying to make $500 a week. So people that are saying all this are not grounded in reality. That's just not reality. Yes, we would love everybody to be a millionaire. We'd love everybody to be the starter. It doesn't work that way in professional sports. Am I right?
It's true. And in a different year, it might, the circumstances might change because there are actually less like undrafted free agents, guys that came out of college this year due to COVID. And so there's not as much talent that's fighting for that last roster spot.
Right.
So you can make an argument for Tim Tebow, obviously from a business perspective. And so, yeah, it's a no-brainer. This is the year to do it, especially because I think we're going to have expanded practice squad again this year. So if that's the case, then those guys can make that expanded practice squad, place. So it's a good year to do it. From the Jaguars' perspective, it's a fantastic idea. You're going to make a ton of money, take the pressure off your rookie quarterback. I mean, it's win-win for everybody. Outside of the Jaguars organization, that's where all the bad PR and why is he doing this and all that is coming from. But inside the Jaguars organization, it's there's nothing bad about this.
And if we want to go another step further and go to the third string, so 32, so now we're in the late 80s and 90s. Those are 3-catch guys.
The Patriots tight ends.
Okay, we had Andrew DiPaolo on. Minnesota Vikings long snapper a couple months ago. Great guy, nice guy. He's a long snapper. Okay, so we're talking about long snappers. We're talking about third and fourth string tight ends. We're talking about bubble guys. I mean, there's many teams that cut their third or fourth string tight ends multiple times throughout the year, just due to roster moves, due to that last spot. So this hate is ridiculous. If the media liked Tim Tebow, they love to hate Tim Tebow because he's polarizing. He's a good person. He does all the right things. He helps the elderly. Yeah, I would. I mean, I said it last week in a show I did about Tim Tebow. Would you rather have Aaron Hernandez as your best friend or Tim Tebow? That's the question.
Well, I mean,
two Patriots.
No, we're going there. We're going there. Okay, so we all agree Aaron Hernandez is a better tight end than Tim Tebow. Nobody would argue that. Even Tim Tebow's family would not argue that. But I'm simply asking, who would you rather have your best friend? You accidentally step on Aaron Hernandez's shoes at a bar, and then you know what happens to you the next night.
Yeah, probably right? Tim Tebow. You
choose Tim Tebow. When you're going to dinner, okay, if you've got a disabled son, who do you want them to give him an autograph? Definitely, if you have a disabled son, you definitely.
This is the most outrageous scenario that we could have come up with. We know Tim Tebow is a better person than Aaron Hernandez. We don't need the disabled son example.
Does Tim Tebow
Oh,
This
gosh.
Tim Tebow, we've all seen the videos. He brings the special needs. He brings all the kids to the games. And I know people are like, oh, blah, blah. Look, that whether you like Tim Tebow or not, Tim Tebow gives you everything he has. Tim Tebow, because of his muscle, his body structure, he's just not a natural fluid quarterback. Maybe he's not even a natural tight end. But I'm just simply saying a guy that always fights, that always rallies around, I'll take that guy last man on the roster. And I'll take a Tim Tebow over, and I went over some of these guys last week, Lawrence Phillips, Aaron Hernandez, Ray Lewis. I mean, I'm not going to name every former murderer, Ray Caruth, Ray Rice.
I think we're taking him over Ray Lewis. That's like one of the 5 best linebackers in my the last 30 years.
My philosophy for football teams is no murderers. So if you're a murderer, you can't be on my team.
Allegedly, all right? They never found the
O.J.
suit.
Simpson, not on my team.
The glove didn't fit. What are we doing? It's allegedly. Hey,
I mean, if you want Ray Rice, O.J. Simpson, Lawrence Phillips in your backfield, those are 3 talented running backs, all right. We'll see how that season goes, though, if there's a problem. I'm just saying.
To be fair, O.J. didn't run into issues until well after he was retired, that we know of. So,
okay, your argument with O.J. is we could get a good 10 or 12 or 14-year career out
easily.
of him. There we go.
And then after that, he's not that problem anymore.
Cam, you want to weigh in on that?
I mean, this sounds like you guys sound like me and Jared on Twitter on a daily basis when we're talking about the Bruins or we're talking about Brady or stuff like that.
Just goes off the handle quick.
You should see some of our exchanges, man. They're hours long, and we'll go back and forth for hours. I just didn't expect to go down this road. We're talking about Aaron Hernandez and O.J. Simpson. Okay.
Well, you know what's ironic? What's ironic is that they both were college teammates, and they both, were for the Patriots for a brief period of time. Tim Tebow did everything he could to help out Aaron Hernandez, and he still went down the very wrong road. Aaron Hernandez had everything. I still watch shows, and when they talk about the 2 great tight ends in modern day history, they talk about Gronk and Hernandez being on the same team. That's what because they were 2 of the greatest tight ends, arguably on the same team at the same time in a great system. And Gronk is still going, and unfortunately for Hernandez, he went down way the wrong road.
Yeah, that was a tough one for Patriots fans.
Now, Jared, you're a big Patriots fan like Cam is. Am I right?
I am.
Yep.
What is your thoughts on the upcoming season for the Patriots?
I mean, you can't not like what they've done so far. Free agency, the draft even. I think, they addressed their needs at quarterback, especially the biggest need. I like this pick with Barrymore in the 2nd round. I think they've had a great offseason. However, I don't want to see Cam Newton anywhere near the field.
Whoa!
He is a bad quarterback. No, he sucks. He can't throw. And that's a problem when you play a position where
you need to throw.
Primary job is to throw the ball.
I got a scenario. You ready for this? What if Tim Tebow was your quarterback?
I would probably rather have Tim Tebow as my quarterback. Honestly.
When they signed Brian Hoyer last week, I was like, I think I'd rather have Hoyer play than Newton.
So I have my predictions on this, but I think I don't know. The whole Julio Jones stuff is wild to me. I don't see the need, or I don't see the reason to go get Julio Jones unless Mac Jones is going to start. You're going to go get Julio Jones for Cam Newton.
You would not get the 2nd round or 3rd round, whatever the price is, to get Julio. You don't see the value there for Julio?
I like Julio. The money is, you figure out the money. The age is a little worrisome. I would rather target a guy like Michael Gallup if you could get him, just based on Dallas's
Michael Gallup over Julio. Now that's a hot take of the day. That might be the hottest take of the day. Michael Gallup over Julio Jones. We should change the headline there.
There you go. I mean, that's what I bring, hot takes. But if you think about it, the age and the money, I mean, I like Gallup's trajectory better than Julio Jones. Julio Jones is going to be great for a year or 2, but he's also going to be expensive. If you're going to start Mac Jones, then Julio Jones makes a lot of sense. You're going to surround him with 2 great tight ends, Julio Jones, Nelson Aguilar is a deep threat, Jacoby Myers inside. Like, you're going to have a ton of weapons plus the backs for that rookie quarterback. And the money makes sense because you're paying a rookie, your quarterback salaries are nothing. But why are you going to bring in Julio Jones for a guy who can't throw outside the numbers? He literally can't throw outside. I watched him all year throw the ball into the ground. And what is that, top 3 outside wide receiver of the last 20 years, maybe? what is he going to do for a guy who can't throw outside the numbers? So this is
You're,
why
you're talking about Cam Newton can't throw it.
right. Correct.
Yeah, because I want to get to this. Before we move on, we got to wrap this up with this issue. So, okay, I want to get an opinion on these guys. Okay, let's go to Cam first. Cam, Dak Prescott, is he a very good or better quarterback?
Absolutely.
Then who? Or
Just a general statement.
in general?
Yeah, we both would agree Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback?
Absolutely.
Very good, yes.
No doubt about it, right?
Yep.
And I'll give Cam credit on this one because he was on Dak Prescott way before me, and I was not a big Dak guy his first couple of years in the league. And Cam was the promoter of he's a top 10 quarterback, and he is a top 10 quarterback.
Now, no doubt top 10 quarterback, right? We all would agree?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I want you guys to answer this question. Who has more playoff wins? Tim Tebow or Dak Prescott? Playoff wins.
Tim Tebow.
It's probably one.
They have the same. They have the same.
I wasn't sure if Dak got one.
I understand. I'm not making an argument that Dak Prescott's better. I'm just simply giving facts. People getting so emotionally charged. Dak's getting $40 million, wins you one playoff game. Tim Tebow has been bouncing around, one playoff win. Okay?
Sure.
Let's do another guy. Kirk Cousins. He's highly rated, gets a lot of money.
Same.
Kirk Cousins or Tim Tebow. Who has more playoff wins?
The same, aren't they? Both at one.
Let's go to Jared. Let's get Jared's opinion first.
I mean, it's either the same or Tebow's got more. I don't think I'm trying to think if Cousins has won a playoff game.
He has one.
He has one? Okay.
So
So
again, I think you both would agree the Patriots need a quarterback. I know they feel they have it in Mac Jones. I think you both would agree you guys would rather have Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott versus your current quarterbacks.
By far.
Yeah.
Not even close.
All right. Let's get one more guy. Okay, Deshaun Watson.
I mean, I would love Deshaun Watson for I don't care how many playoff wins. I don't care how many regular season
One playoff win for Deshaun Watson. And honestly, that one might be it because he is going down a very bad road.
And it took Josh Allen throwing the ball over his head to win that game. Yeah.
And their defense forgetting how to tackle a quarterback.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to do two more. I was going to do one more, but I'm going to do two more guys. Okay, two more guys. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Everybody loves Lamar Jackson. Couldn't be better. MVP, fantastic. So more playoff wins, Tim Tebow or Lamar Jackson?
They're tied.
Yeah, they're tied. He's got one.
So we've named four guys, all Pro Bowlers, all top-tier guys, top 10, top 12. And Tim Tebow sucks, terrible. We got to stone him. We got to crucify him. All these things, we got to burn down his house. I mean, I'm just seeing the most just arduous, crazy things on Twitter.
I don't condone any of these things.
I'm glad you don't think that because I was a little worried about you there for a minute. But no, I'm just saying that the hate, would you say this, that the hate that Tim Tebow gets, would you say that it's fair or it's over the top?
Of course it's over the top. I mean, what do you think sports talk is? That's what sells. You got to be outrageous, and you have to take these topics that are really nothing topics. But since Tim Tebow is such a figure, you overblow it and you make all these narratives of what roster spot he's taken from who, and and then it brings back to you look at his numbers and the guy's not a good quarterback. He can't throw. But then you look at the wins and you're in the win-loss record and you're like, well, he somehow finds a way to win. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be like the untold story. The thing that we never know is if someone just gave Tim Tebow a chance, would he have just had like a 50% completion percentage and won 10 games a year? Is that what would have happened?
You know what's ironic about Tim Tebow? I'm not comparing him to Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback. He's a better running back. He's a better athlete. He does everything better. But what I'm saying about Tim Tebow, yes, he won with the running game, his running game, and the defense. But the fact, you can say what you want to, being a great leader at quarterback is arguably one of the most important things. It's not the arm strength. It's not his flowing hair. Everybody loves talking about hairstyles with Trevor Lawrence and this guy and that guy. Like Tom Brady. Yes, Tom Brady checks every box, but he goes over there when his guys are down. Like you guys know, 28-3, no other quarterback could have came back. No other quarterback. People give up. Okay, I love Aaron Rodgers. He's an all-time great. But Aaron Rodgers sometimes does have a tendency to be a little pouty and kind of check out of games. It's cold in Green Bay. and he checks out. Tim Tebow gives you everything he's got, and I'm telling you, when your D-line is getting trucked over and they send Tim Tebow getting guys riled up, I'm telling you, it rubs off on them, right?
Absolutely.
You're right.
And the last thing I'll say, two more guys, Carson Wentz and Matt Stafford, also two top 15. Of course, I know Carson Wentz has kind of dropped significantly in people's minds, but he still gets paid a lot of money. He's still been traded for a lot of collateral. They both have 0 playoff wins. Correct.
Their teams have been.
And Carson Wentz has been has a horrible stat where his backup won a Super Bowl without him, which is I'm not going to pin it all on Carson Wentz, but that is a rough indictment.
And his backup took him to the playoffs the next year too.
What is your guys' opinion on Carson Wentz?
He's not very good.
I think he makes sense. I think he makes sense in Indy.
So
I would agree with that.
Jared, you think Carson Wentz is trash? There's no hope for Carson Wentz?
I don't know if he's trash, but he's just the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl and he was having like an MVP year. Everybody was saying top 5 quarterback. He's elite. He's the next big thing. And I was like, let's pump the brakes. There's been plenty of quarterbacks in this league that have had one good year and then fizzled out. And he's injury prone. We've seen it. I mean, I just think the guy is average.
Are you saying that he suffers from lack of sacinitis, and that is the official medical term, lack of sacinitis, Carson Wentz?
Yes and no, not really, because he tore his ACL and he screwed his back up. So those are kind of like major injuries. I would say Jimmy Garoppolo is the one that suffers from that syndrome.
Well, don't tell that to Cam. Look, I used to like Jimmy G.
I wanted Jimmy G on the Patriots. I would have rather have him as a quarterback. I just think outside of the torn ACL he had, which was his own fault, by the way, he's kind of soft. So
he is
what it is. He's a good quarterback, though, when he's healthy.
Some people allege that because he spends too much time at 3 a.m. banging porn stars, that could affect his on and off the field, rehabilitation, from what I've heard. But
I mean, it didn't seem to bother Gronk, so.
Well, Gronk's built differently. I mean, he can, but
he's built to last.
He's built to last. He's built to last. Absolutely. So, I just wanted to cover that, Jared. Before we let you go, anything else you wanted to talk on? Oh, let's get your opinion. We talked a little bit about it. With sources say Trump offered campaign cash to drop the Spygate probe. That even before Donald Trump was president, he was flexing his muscles to get things done. What is your thoughts on that? Do you have a strong take on that one way or the other, or you don't care?
I don't know. I have questions about it. Like, he probably did, because like this country was built on bribery and paying politicians off. I mean, that's like how everything works here. So I'm sure it happened. He's a billionaire. They're all billionaires. They all know each other. It's that inner circle. He probably had a relationship with the guy, and yeah, maybe he did. But I also look at it like, maybe he had the better relationship, and that's why he kind of orchestrated it, because Bob Kraft's a billionaire too. He couldn't just bribe somebody. I mean, it just feels like it's a kind of a non-story. It's like, oh, let's dig up some old dirt because we're bored at ESPN and we really have nothing else.
Do you guys know Woodchip? Do you guys know Woodchip 1031? He's sent us messages. Even if the Pats bring in Julio, they need a QB who could throw them. We kind of covered that.
Yes, I agree.
Now, what is your guys' take? Because some people were saying, oh, he's going to go to San Fran, he's going to go here, he's going to go there. Overall, I know it's early. Mac Jones could be great. Mac Jones could be whatever. Overall, give me your take on Mac Jones. Jared.
Cam, because I want to hear you first.
Cam, go ahead.
I know he wants to hear me first so he can hold something against me.
Say it. If you like him, then say it.
No, I do like it.
Or if you hate him and you want to punch him in the face and throw him down the stairs, then say it. Let's hear it.
It's probably a little bit of both.
We were on the air when the pick was made. There's been numerous times Jared's wanted to punch me in the face.
Wow. It's getting violent.
I like the pick because it just felt like there was finally direction at the position. Because, yeah, Cam Newton's a big name. If that was Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota, whoever the last quarterback standing last year was who the Patriots were signing. And they sold us a bill of goods on Jarrett Stidham, which I fell for. Hook, line, and sinker.
I'm going to jump in here because, I've been telling you, you were sending me pictures of him drinking the Crown and the cup and, oh, he's the pimp and he's this. And I'm like, Cam, dude, the guy's done nothing. The guy's, at best, he's a journeyman. Okay?
He's Case Keenum.
He's Case Keenum on a good day. Okay? He would be lucky to be
I feel like
Case
that's
Keenum.
insulting to Case Keenum.
Right. It is actually insulting to Case Keenum, actually, because Case Keenum has kind of bounced around a little bit. I mean, Jared Stidham is a journeyman backup. That's what he is.
Yeah,
so,
he's going to get cut. So
right.
That's why I like the pick. It was direction at the position. I don't expect him to play at least to start the year. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out the whole year. I wish there was someone here better than Cam Newton to play the year, but it is what it is. But overall, they finally took a direction at the position, and I'm happy they've done that. And so he's their guy. They're going to coach him. They're going to develop him. I think he's the kind of quarterback they want that will play within the system. So I like the pick. I did from the jump.
So
Garrett, same.
Get ready. I've got some hot takes on this topic.
Oh, here we go.
I really like the pick. I don't know if he's going to be the best quarterback out of the 5 that were picked in the first round, but I think he's the best fit for the Patriots and what they want to do. The accuracy is there. I think he's going to, he's kind of a maniac in like how he studies and does everything. And that's a really good thing. I read the whole Athletic article on him and how he's just been like writing up cue cards with plays since he's been 8 years old and stuff like that. And I think he's the right makeup for the Patriots and what they want. I think he's very, very intelligent, like borderline genius intelligent. I mean, kid got his master's in 4.5 years, bachelor's and master's. And it would not shock me if he knows the playbook better than Cam Newton by the time preseason starts, probably like 2 weeks into training camp, because I don't think Cam Newton really knows the playbook very well. And it wouldn't shock me if he beats Cam Newton out. I have a hard time.
That'd be best case.
Cam Newton can throw, has all this new throwing motion, and I've watched him all year. He got worse as the year goes on. Usually you learn the playbook and you get better and you feel pressure and you understand what you're looking at when you're trying to read defense. He can't read a defense. He can't feel pressure. Maybe we were spoiled. I know, Preston, you've had a year of this now, and so like the Tom Brady, you're like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like.
Yeah, it feels good to have a team.
It feels great, but he's the smartest guy in the game. He thinks it, and he steps up, and he feels the pressure, and he recognizes the defense. We were so spoiled for 20 years that you get a guy like Cam Newton in there who can't do any of that, and I just feel like Mac Jones can do a lot of that. Obviously, he's going to take development time because there's a big transition, but I think I think he's going to know the playbook better than everyone expects him to. And I think he's going to perform better in training camp and the preseason than people expect. And it wouldn't shock me if he beats out Cam Newton, because if he's the best guy and he gives them the best chance to win, I don't think Bill Belichick is going to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to start Cam Newton. Because if he's out here, throwing the ball all over the field and
No, you're definitely right. I'm not. Yeah, I agree with pretty much most of that. I mean, I still think that if it's close, Cam Newton's at least going to get the edge to start the season, and then maybe third or fourth game, if it's getting kind of close and Mac Jones is progressing, I do think they could hand the keys to Mac Jones. I think it actually works for both of them. I think Mac Jones was lucky to go to the Patriots, and I honestly think the Patriots were lucky to get Mac Jones. I'm looking at these other guys. We all know Trevor Lawrence is going to be great. He's got all the potential in the world. The only red flag for Trevor Lawrence is he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, which he has admitted. I know he tried to walk that back, but yeah, he hasn't had a chip on his shoulder because he's never been punched in the mouth. He's always been dominant since Pop Warner. He's been the best quarterback and the best arm and the best everything. He's going to find out what it's like to play football for Jacksonville.
When he loses his first game this year, it'll be his first regular season loss since high school.
Right, exactly. And I don't think he lost in high school either, did he? Maybe as a freshman.
Did they play week 1?
I don't think he lost in high school either. I think like since middle school, he hasn't. It's ridiculous numbers. But so Trevor Lawrence, and to get back to the Tim Tebow thing, Trevor Lawrence could very well go 8 for 24, 8 for 28, some ridiculous number for 140 yards the first game, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and have a horrific first game. But I do feel if Tim Tebow makes this roster, he's going to have that Tim Tebow protection because Trevor Lawrence could absolutely suck. The Jaguars could get ran out of the building, and they're going to talk about Tim Tebow's 1 carry for 3 yards and 1 screen pass catch for 2 yards. And they're going to be going totally nuts about it. And then
that's the point.
I got to be honest, and we did a video a couple months ago, Zach Wilson. I don't like Zach Wilson. I know, again, people are obsessed because they want to call him the next Joe Namath, or he's cool, this and this.
How many Jets quarterbacks have been the next Joe Namath?
All of them. I don't even think Zach Wilson's going to be better than Mark Sanchez, honestly.
So I agree with all of this. I'm kind of scoffing at Cam's take on this because all I've heard is how the Jets quarterback room is better and the Jets are in better position.
That's when I thought they were going to
Wait a minute. The Jets quarterback room is better than which room? The Patriots?
Patriots. Just it's all been about the quarterback and what quarterback they're taking and who's high. You know, I get the Wilson pick. I see the appeal of Wilson.
What, his hair and his good looks? I'm just simply saying right now, everybody keeps talking about, Zach Wilson, he's throwing. Look, yes, his workout was great and all that. It's great. Okay, they still don't have a great offensive line. They got one offensive lineman who's 380 pounds. He's not going to be able to move. They really did not give this guy a ton of help, despite what they said. The Jets are still going to be terrible. They're still going to be a bottom 5, bottom 6
team. We did this 4 years ago.
Right. Like
we're going to do this in another 3-4 years.
And before that with Geno Smith and Mark Sanchez and
Christian Hackenberg.
Who do we got? Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez. And look, was Mark Sanchez as horrible as everybody says? Not to that degree. But at the end of the day, they had a great defense. They had a great running game. They managed games. They did what you should do. What I would have done if I was the Jets, I would not have drafted any of these quarterbacks. I would have tried to trade down, draft Penei Sewell, draft Slater, load up the O-line, get a good running back in the second or third round, and just run the ball, punish teams physically, and try to do everything you can to get back up to a 7 or 8 or somewhat competitive team. They do the same thing every 3 years. They keep drafting. What are they doing?
That makes too much sense, though. And it's the Jets and Woody Johnson. What do you think? Woody Johnson's going to sit there and let them not take a quarterback? Woody Johnson is a terrible owner, and he's going senile at this point, and he's just sitting there and we got to get the quarterback, get the quarterback, and never builds around them. I mean, we're going to
did more for Sam Darnold in that draft.
Trey Lance didn't played one game at the beginning of January, didn't play a game basically all year. And the year before his superstar year, he threw 23 passes a game in a nothing burger conference. I don't know why people get so fascinated with, this guy looks at, this guy could be this and this guy. No, let's look at reality. The reality is
the tools are there.
Yes, we can talk about tools. We can talk about athleticism and all this and that and the other. Okay, all I know is Tom Brady's got the most Super Bowls, and they're obsessed with his naked, dilapidated body at the draft. Every year they trot it out. Who cares if him and Zach Wilson are not doing model shoots together or whatever ESPN's got going on? I think it's the way that ESPN and some of these media groups cover football is insane. Look, Trey Lance is raw. Trey Lance could very well be Jordan Love 2.0. A guy that came out of nowhere the month before the draft, shot up the charts, and then he comes right back down to reality. So Trey Lance has got a lot to prove to me. And Justin Fields may have a lot of upside. He is a great athlete. He is, to me, a guy like Fields is worth the gamble. But Cam, who was the guy a couple years ago? Haskins? Wasn't he supposed to be great?
Yeah.
I don't think he wasn't touted like Fields was. Fields is different.
Okay, Fields went 11. Haskins went 15. They both big, strong Ohio State quarterbacks, similar. That's about as close as you're going to get.
No, it's true.
Didn't Dwayne Haskins, did he win a championship in college? Or was he close? He lost in the game. He was in the Final Four.
He made the Final Four probably, but I don't know if he won a championship.
He might have won it. He might have been.
I thought he did win.
I know. Did Cardale Jones win it?
Jones won.
And then Haskins won it. I think Haskins. I'm an Ohio State fan. I should know this.
If you're an Ohio State fan, we did a show on this 2 months ago. The avalanche of Ohio State quarterbacks, super highly touted, very successful in college. When it gets to the NFL, they plummet.
This is a tough argument, though, because I've had this with my buddies, and you can't really point at one college and say, they're quarterback college. Like every quarterbacks just come out of nowhere. Like they're coming out of North Dakota State and
Wyoming.
Where'd Jimmy come out of?
Northern Illinois.
Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois. And so you got random. NC State is like the biggest producing quarterback school right now, or they were with Phil Rivers and
Derek Carr.
Huh?
Or not Derek Carr. No, where did he go?
No, they have Phil Rivers, and if you're going to give them credit for Russ Wilson, since he was there first. But
maybe.
Look at
Wisconsin. I would give more Wisconsin that, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right. But look around the league. It's, Ohio State has a history of quarterbacks who have gone to the NFL and done nothing. And there's been one half decent one. Dwayne Haskins, I think, is in a good position. I think he can still be something. And he's behind Roethlisberger, playing for a good coach. I think he can be something eventually.
Well, Texas Tech had Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, right? They're probably the best.
That's a good one, too.
They're probably the best factory lately, if you want to call it that.
Oklahoma, Mayfield, Hurts, Murray.
Oklahoma right now is the hot one.
Yeah.
They've
Oklahoma.
produced,
Well, Jalen Hurts. I mean, we're giving Jalen.
I mean, look at Alabama quarterbacks. Alabama has produced crack quarterbacks and
they've been terrible.
stuff.
You're right. Alabama
but now,
has been
like,
terrible.
Tua's been good, and Tua looks to project well. Hopefully, Mac Jones is good. It's just,
I don't know about Tua. I'm not sold on Tua.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not completely sold either, but I just think there's
jump in here. You're giving some weird, dirty looks. You got something to say?
I just thought you were about to go on a 20-minute tangent after he said that about Tua.
Look, my take on Tua was really simple. I study the draft like a maniac, like Mac Jones studies his playbook. I love the draft. I love all these wild, crazy stories. All I know with Tua, he's got an 80-year-old old man hip injury. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of the fact that he is short for his position. He is dumb as a box of rocks, got basically a 12 or 13 on the Wonderlic score, below, which is terrible. He retook it and got a better score, but he's not that smart. He's not that athletic. So in the new, Tua might have been fine many years ago when the game was not as athletic. He might have been okay with some checkdowns or this and that and the other. The game has evolved. Joe Burrows, Trevor Lawrence's, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, guys that are big and strong and athletic and all of these things. Yes, there's the Tom Brady's and the Drew Brees. These guys are the exceptions, the Titans. But these other guys coming up the pike check all these boxes that they're big and strong and athletic and they're smart and they're cerebral.
You're forgetting a big thing, too. He's a lefty, and lefties don't have success in the NFL. There's like literally two of them.
Right.
Steve Young.
We're talking about Steve Young and Michael Vick. And he's not as smart and cerebral as Steve Young, and he's nowhere near as athletic and dynamic.
I don't know why lefties have a bad run of it, but they just do.
It's because of the way their brain's wired. The brain is lefties see things backwards. They don't see things the way everybody else thinks. If you've ever gone to a restaurant with a friend of yours that's left-handed, everybody goes in the right-handed door. Everybody naturally goes in the right-handed door. Your one left-handed friend will be the only one that goes in the left hand. They naturally think differently. Really? I've noticed it through the years. It's weird.
Look at that.
Find a friend that's left-handed. Take 3 or 4 friends. 3 of them will be right-handed. They'll go in the right-handed door. There'll be 2 doors. They will always go in the left-handed door. Their brain just naturally veers to the left. And I think they probably throw a little bit. They just throw a little. They throw a centimeter off.
It's a solid theory.
Solid theory. And you talk about these schools, stereotypes. Everybody had a thing against Oregon quarterbacks, and it looks like Herbert's about to break that.
Well, everybody had a thing when you had Justin Herbert was going to be good, and because he's big and strong and he's smart and he checks all New Millennium. That's another guy that I forgot. Justin Herbert, a big, strong, athletic guy. And he was the MVP of the Senior Bowl. And everybody's like, "Oh, why is Oregon?" And all this.
Well, I mean, the Harrington, Dennis Dixon, Mariota. It was a positional bias against Oregon quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. It's not like.
Well, you kind of have to talk about that because these schools really aren't producing great quarterbacks every year necessarily. Like Stanford, how many years between? Luck and now was Davis Mills that came out. Did we even have another Stanford quarterback?
That was 9 years. No, it wasn't.
John Elway.
Well, no, I'm saying in that time span,
in that
last 10 years since Luck. Since Luck, have we had one since Davis Mills?
You're right with quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, it's extremely hard to find that, right, Cam?
Absolutely.
Like when's the next time we're going to see a Wyoming quarterback?
Probably not again. I mean, for a long time. I think Josh Allen's probably going to be the exception there. So
I would agree, and I think it's we got 2 North Dakota State quarterbacks in the last 7 years or whatever. I feel like they're kind of done for a while. Like if they're going to,
I would imagine
maybe they produce more, but who knows?
Who knows? I mean, you get Breeze came out of Purdue. It's just you're right. There's really not a school that's just a straight up quarterback factory.
And you get some schools that go, get hot. Oklahoma's hot right now. Bama's had a couple. Ohio State's had a couple. So you have that run from the schools, but then like UCLA, have we had anything since Goff? I mean, but even before Goff, was there really anything there?
That was Cal, wasn't it? Goff went to Cal.
Oh, sorry, Cal. But okay, no.
Right.
Did he?
I think Preston did.
I'm trying to read his lips.
Preston, we can't hear you.
No.
His
Can I get a thumbs up for UCLA?
Jared Goff, UCLA.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There we go. We had to plug it in. Technical difficulties. It's all good. I thought I had to fight one of these guys coming in here late, but it's all good. Bare knuckle fight, old school. But no, to answer your question, if I'm back on now, Jared Goff was California, and also Aaron Rodgers. But what I was going to say is you are right. There is no – this is what goes back to the draft. Like, everybody's like, whoa, Trevor Lawrence is going to be great. Okay, maybe Trevor Lawrence is great because everybody says he's going to be great. Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. Okay, I'll buy that. Everybody loves Zach Wilson. Everybody loves – okay, so everybody loves all these guys. So your argument to me is, oh, well, Chicago, well, Justin Fields is going to be an MVP. Oh, okay, well – best case scenario, he's Deshaun Watson. Well, Deshaun Watson was great for about 4 years, and now he's having severe problems. So even on the positive list, they're still having problems. Patrick Mahomes is as great as anybody, but he's also keeps getting injured. That is a factor.
No, it is. Absolutely.
And Kelsey's getting older, and Tyreek Hill is going to beat his girlfriend again or have some other serious legal problems. And this Chiefs team, I'm telling you, they are not going to be this 10 or 15-year dynasty that everybody's fantasizing them to be. He's going to beat his girlfriend. He's going to get arrested. There's going to be all kinds of arduous problems. And you're right, I couldn't resist. I'm not a fan of guys that beat their pregnant girlfriend. Call me old
murder.
Okay, I'm not saying you got to be a choir boy, because I think it was Michael Bennett or one of the guys. His line is that you need a couple thugs on your team, and to a degree, not criminals, but you do need some rough guys to say, hey, this and this, get in the room, you do need guys to wrangle people in. Get out of the bar, come to practice. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but you can't have a whole team of Cincinnati Bengals. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. When's the last playoff game they've won?
The 90s.
Right.
And they had some good teams there.
Right, they did. Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson, Pac-Man Jones. They've had, T.J. Hoosman. They had some loaded rosters.
We all remember that game. They lost their minds versus the Steelers a few years ago.
They lost their composure, right? Yeah. But so to Jared's point, and we'll end it with this, it's true. Quarterback is difficult because you have to be a great leader. You have to be smart. You have to be cerebral. You have to be at least athletic enough. You have to be able to command the room, be in early. Don't party with the guys. Everybody's partying, doing shots at the strip club, and you got to be at 9 o'clock at home reading your playbook. So it's like a Tom Brady, a Drew Brees. You got to be a little boring, in my opinion, to be a great quarterback.
No, it's true. Absolutely.
Now, let's get Jared's opinion. Baker Mayfield has been solid, but where would you rank Cam, I'm not going to ask you. I know you're about ready to come out of your chair.
Cam hates Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
You see what he just said? Cam hates Baker Mayfield. I don't. Yeah, Preston thinks I love Baker Mayfield.
You said some things. I don't know what you've said on Twitter, but you've said some things about Baker
Mayfield.
He impressed me last year.
Baker Mayfield. Cam does not like Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. That's what I said. Yeah.
I
think
where would you put him?
12 to 15 range. He's that guy that's probably knocking at the door and has it in him to crack the top 10. I don't know if he can consistently do it. He's got all the weapons. He can probably get there, but I think he's going to live in that 12 to 15 range probably most of his career, depending on what's around him too. He's also a guy that, if it falls apart around him, I don't know if he's mentally strong enough to not fall apart with it.
Saw that.
I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield. Look, I respect he's gotten better, okay, but he's gotten better having the best offensive line, the best running backs, good tight ends, good receivers, not great receivers, very good defense. I'm just saying he did well this last year, won a playoff game, even though he was basically up 28-0 before he basically even did much in the game. He was up 28-0. So I would like to see Baker Mayfield. To me, next year is a big test for Baker. If he comes out next year, throws 28, 30 touchdowns, they win 10 or 11 games, they're back in the mix, then he looks to be solid as long as but if he comes crashing down, throwing interceptions again, it could be some problems for Baker.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
Jared, I got to get your take since you have strong takes, and I like strong takes. Lamar Jackson, give me your overall assessment of Lamar Jackson.
I think he's overrated.
Woo!
And I think he'll eventually. I don't think he'll last as long as people. I don't think he's gonna be a great quarterback for like 10 years or so. I think his legs will slow down, and unless he can learn how to throw like Michael Vick did, I can see him getting 30 or getting to 30 or so and really starting to fall off. I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's very accurate. I think there's a lot of excuse making for, oh, he has nothing around him, when in reality he's just, it's half true, but he's also not a great quarterback. So I think he's just overrated overall. I don't think he sucks by any means. I mean, I would rather have him than Cam Newton, but
I mean, Cam Newton, in my opinion, is a bottom 3 starter at this stage of his career.
Agreed.
Now, Lamar Jackson, and I said this before the year because Cam has been hardcore selling me on Lamar Jackson, telling me that he's great and he's going to revolutionize this and that and the other thing. And I said before the year, I'm putting Lamar Jackson. You can shake your head and you can pout all you want to.
I don't know who's telling the truth here.
Lamar Jackson. Well, I'm telling the truth. Cam has slowly come over to my side and agrees with me more now. But it took a lot of beating him over the head to get him straight over here. So I'm just saying with Lamar Jackson, I said, everyone's like, oh, he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback. And I said, no, he's not. I said, what he is a top 10, top 5 athlete. He's
Agreed.
Not a traditional quarterback. The problem with Lamar Jackson, if I give him a great offensive line, if I give him great running backs, and if I give him 2 great tight ends, which he did not have 2 great tight ends last year, he had 1 and he struggled, and he had 2 great the year before. My point is, if he doesn't have the number 1 defense, if all these things are not perfect for him, come playoff time, when the game tightens up, we've seen it time and time and again. I know he finally won a playoff game, but every year, it doesn't matter what 12, 13, 14, it doesn't. When they get to the playoffs against Tennessee, the Chiefs, the Steelers, they are going to struggle. Plain and simple. Unless his passing game significantly comes up the pike, they're going to struggle every year, regardless of what they do in the regular season. Because in the regular season, you can run for 200 yards. Your defense can stop them. You can win games 20-17 and kind of limp over the line. That's my opinion on Lamar Jackson.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's easy to play his game when you're up by like 2 scores.
Yeah, when you're up 10 or 13 points.
He's a front runner.
When you're up by 10 or 13 and you're like, okay, there's 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. What are we going to do, guys? We're going to run. We're going to run 13 times in a row. And then you go in the lead, up 13-0, 13-3, and then second half comes out, run. You've ate 9 or 10 minutes off the clock. You got barely, a quarter to go. So,
right.
I mean, that in the regular season, that works.
I agree. And I think come the playoffs, you're going to be playing close games, or you're going to be down in the fourth quarter, a score or something. You got to really, throw the ball downfield to get that comeback. We've seen it. You want to use Tom Brady as an example, all those comebacks. Yeah, you can come back with your legs, but it's less likely. And I think you get in a position against good teams in the postseason when, pressure's on, and he doesn't, I don't know if he doesn't have the makeup, but it just seems like his style of play is really hard to do in close games and when you're playing from behind in big games. It's really easy to beat the Jets in week 7, but it's not that easy to beat the Steelers or the Titans in the divisional round.
That's a good take. We appreciate you calling in. Like and subscribe to the channel. Before we go, Jared, what is the biggest thing that you and Cam have argued about? What is the one argument that just...
I don't know. I mean...
Football-wise.
So many.
The most recent one was Chara. It was the Chara thing.
That's a Bruins player, Preston.
Yeah, was a Bruins argument.
Football.
We've had our fair share of Patriots ones. I was on the other side of the Brady Belichick debate. I was on the Belichick side, so that was one. Do you still stand by that opinion? I mean, I was a 60-40 Belichick, so I was never like it's all coach, not quarterback. Now I'm probably more 60-40 Brady. I still think the coach is very important. I still think, Belichick is the best ever. And I think with the team, if Mac Jones can play, they'll be a fairly legit competitor again. But, it's tough. You need the quarterback. So I'll tell
you this, Mr. Kraft brought the hammer, and he said he paid the $200 million, but he did say he was not happy with old Mr. Bill Belichick's drafting these last few years. He did come out and say that.
And I think I would actually, there's a good one. I would say the Bill Belichick drafting thing.
It's
the last
horrific.
Couple of years.
It's horrific.
It's not as bad as people make it out to be. Like it's the whole basis
horrific.
Of this is like Pro Bowls.
He hit on, of course, we know that Tom Brady obviously doesn't get it, but after
just take the last 10 years or the last 7 years where the conversation really picks up.
Yeah, it's been horrific.
See,
So
it hasn't been as bad as people think, because in that time,
Really?
you got a guy like Joe Tooney who was all pro and just made $80 million in the second round. You got a guy like Trey Flowers in the fourth round who got $98 million with Detroit.
We're going to be excited about guards and situational
yeah, but
defensive ends. That's what we're hanging
argument. The argument isn't about excitement. It's about if the player is good or not. And a guy like Trey Flowers helped you win Super Bowls and then got a massive contract. Regardless if he made a Pro Bowl or not, I would say that was a pretty good pick. I'm not saying Belichick is.
Those are two good players. But here is, I think, what everybody's missing is with Bill Belichick, his drafting has been terrible, especially the last 7 or 8 years. Tom Brady makes up for a lot.
Oh, I agree.
I don't think I know we added a couple guys, but we had the core. Our core defense was the same as the year before when Jameis threw 30 interceptions. That 7-win team, the core of that team was basically the same. Evans and Godwin and Howard and all the other guys. So, yes, we added. So, having Gronk come in, that was a Brady GM move, in my opinion. Getting Leonard Fournette at a bargain basement price, you could make an argument. That was a Brady, let's come join Brady. Antonio Brown, that is 100% because of Tom Brady. Right. 100%. That has got nothing to do with Bruce Arians. I like Bruce Arians much more now than I did a year ago, I'll tell you that. And it doesn't have a lot to do with the GM, even though our GM has done a great job putting this team together. He does not get the credit that he deserves. He had a couple shoddy picks, picking a kick returner a few years back and picking a kicker, which we won't get into that because we don't want the show to go off the rails. But I'm simply saying your best 2 picks that you've named me in the last 7 years was a guard and a situational defense.
No, I'm not saying they're the best 2 picks. I'm just trying to defend the take because there have been good players in there that people want to like shit on and be like, oh, the drafting has been terrible all around. When it's like
no, Harry, who was a bust, Sony Michel, who's not that good. I mean, there's a lot of high picks.
Sony Michel, Cam, what do you think about that?
Sony Michel, Jared, we've had a lot of arguments over Sony Michel.
I hate Sony Michel.
Do you love Sony Michel or do you hate him? What are you saying?
I just never wanted that pick. I don't like taking running backs in the first round.
He's been disappointing since the first year, but if Jared's parameter to me of a good pick is do you contribute and do you win? And the first year he was here, Sony Michel contributed and helped them win. So that's why I like him.
You are not wrong.
Well, and if you're using that analogy, Carson Wentz contributed and helped the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl by starting off.
I wouldn't go that far. He helped them win.
Well, he contributed, and they
won
in
the regular season. He didn't do anything in the playoffs. So
it's got to be. So you're talking about playoffs, is what you're going by.
I mean, I weigh playoffs heavier than regular season. Like I said, I don't care what Lamar Jackson did Week 7 against the Jets. I want to see what he does in the playoffs.
Okay, let's do this. I'm giving you Joe Thuney. I'm giving you Trey Flowers.
I can pull more.
Please, let's hear them. Let's pull 2 or 3 more guys.
I think the jury's still out. I mean, on like a guy like Kyle Duggar, and I think Chase Winovich, for example, isn't a bad player. And I think Mike Onwee was it.
Are we really going into Kyle Duggar and Chase Winovich on 3rd and 4th on the last 7-year depth chart?
I'm just naming players that have been picked.
Let's be
I'm just naming players who have been picked in the last few drafts that have been
potential.
Deemed as like these drafts have been terrible, who have potential and have shown. And the offensive lineman, Mike Onwenu, was a great pick. He was like the
4th rated rookie by PFF.
He was like the 4th rated offensive lineman last year. He was like a top 5 or top 10 ranked lineman overall. So there's some good picks in there. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's been a great GM or he's been a terrible GM. I think he's been, he hasn't been very good. He's been average, maybe. Maybe it's average at best. But I just think people look at it as a whole. Like you say about Tim Tebow. And there's just an overreaction, and he sucks, and I hate him, and it's terrible. People do the same thing with Bill Belichick's draft, and it's been terrible, and everyone sucks, and no good players have come to it. And Cam loves to point to the Pro Bowls. Oh, they have the same amount of Pro Bowlers as the Cincinnati Bengals since 2013, like stuff like that. That's great.
Let's hear that. Let's get that juice. Now I'm reunited here. I got to be honest, Cam. Obviously, you guys follow the page. I did not know that they got the same amount of drafted Pro Bowls as the Bengals have.
I think it's something like
that. Since 2013, yeah.
Oh, I nailed the stat. See, that's how many times Cam has said the stat to me that it's like it's living in there.
We will rehash our arguments on numerous occasions.
Yeah, we're going to need a whole nother show if we're going to do this.
Okay, we're not going to rehash all of it, but I'm just going to name some. I'm going to pick a random team. Okay, last few years. Okay, we'll say last 4 or 5 years. Guys that one team has drafted: Devin White, Levante David, Carlton Davis, Vita Vea,
Levante David was not recent.
Ronald Jones. It's the last like 5 years.
So, so here's my point.
Okay, hold on. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Okay, you could argue O.J. Howard. He's been injury prone. Okay, Tristan Wirfs, the best offensive lineman in last year's rookie class. We got him as well. I'm talking about the Bucks, of course. And I mentioned Mike Evans, Godwin.
Going into the year or at the end of the year? I'm asking because I don't know where he was ranked.
He was rated a top 5 pick. They drafted Mekhi Becton and your other guy over him, which Mekhi Becton got a lot of hype because he was so huge at 6'7", 6'3". He's way too big. Way too big to be a dominant tackle. Way too heavy. Way too heavy. I'm just saying, the guys you named me, Thuney and Trey Flowers, I'm naming you Devin White, Levante David. So I'm literally just picking the Bucks.
So let me ask you this.
Not to mention trading for JPP with a draft. That I would include that in that. Signing the Ndamukong Suh, I would also add that. As those are this core of this team, and I haven't even mentioned signing Leonard Fournette as a free agent, Grunt, and Antonio Brown, and of course Tom Brady.
I've got 2 things.
Let's hear it.
Ronald Jones, nice player, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. He hasn't done anything really in this league to look at him like what a great pick. I would argue Sony Michel is better. Michel has done more. I like Ronald Jones. I had Ronald Jones in my fantasy team. I'm a big Ronald Jones guy, but I'm not going to sit here and be like automatic great pick already. So because we don't know
that
yet.
Is a very good pick. You could say, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Ronald Jones. Is very solid. Am I saying he's the greatest running back the world's ever seen? No, he's got hands of stone. But I'm talking about as a pure runner, he's a very talented runner, Ronald Jones.
Possibly, but I don't know. The production has been okay. Where was he? A 2nd-round pick?
He was a 2nd-round pick.
I think there's been 2nd and 3rd-round picks that have produced better than him in the time.
Let me ask you this: if I told you there was a coach in the league that chose Sony Michel over Nick Chubb, what would you say about that coach?
Oh, I'd be pissed, and I have been pissed about it. I wouldn't have taken either in the 1st round, to be honest. I don't like 1st-round running backs. My second question to you. What's more important, a 2nd-team All-Pro or a Pro Bowl?
I would say it really depends on the player and it depends on the position.
Oh, that's garbage. That's not.
No.
All-Pro is like the cream of the crop players. Like that's why you make an All-Pro.
Okay, so one All-Pro. If you have one All-Pro versus a guy that every year is a.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just talking in a vacuum. One.
Of course, All-Pro is better than. Second team, no doubt about it. Yes.
No, 2nd-team All-Pro is better than Pro Bowl, right? Agreed. 1 year. That's my
right. 1 year,
right? And that's Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney never made a Pro Bowl, but he was a 2nd-team All-Pro. So are we saying that Joe Thuney isn't good or wasn't a good pick? He was a 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick.
I'm going to say this as nice as I can. He's a guard. I love guards,
but we're not doing fantasy here. We're doing about impact to a football team.
Realize the value. I realize the value of my garbage man. The garbage would pile up too if he didn't take the garbage, just like the guard. I'm simply saying a guard is a guard. I can get a guard in the 4th round, in the 5th round, that is going to be very comparable to a 2nd or 3rd round guard. It's not
you can do that. You can do that with running back too.
You can do that with running back. Absolutely.
Ronald Jones is
okay. He's the Thuney of
running back. Joe Thuney of the running back.
Joe Thuney there. No, I'm simply saying you're giving me. I've noticed this with Patriots because the Patriots have had so much success. They name a guy that they like Chase Winovich, like somebody like Kyle Duggar, and like, oh, you don't realize Chase Winovich, Kyle Duggar, and then I say, okay, what about JPP? Nah, he's old. He's got one hand.
JPP is a good player. I mean, he's better than Chase Winovich now. They're also very different players, one's an end and one's a outside linebacker really. But I don't know. I mean, everyone's going to have their bias. You went down all your Bucks players and they're coming off a Super Bowl, so it's looking really good. But a lot of those guys, might flash and they might become just guys. A lot of those, we had that with Sony Michel. Sony Michel flashed. Everyone's loving the Sony Michel train, and then he became a Jag. And now Damian Harris is above him on the depth chart. So I just think that bias goes both ways with everyone. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be players that I watch every week that I'm going to like better because I see more of them maybe than a player like Tampa Bay or a player on Tampa Bay. But then you're also asking Patriots fans, who for the most part, football fans in general, are idiots. and they're all just going to be homers and bias and be like, oh, well, no, my player's better and your guy sucks and JPB play for the Giants and we don't like the Giants and all that stuff. So you that always, plays a part in it. I just, my whole argument on the drafts thing is like, yeah, the drafts haven't been great. There's been a lot of really bad players in there, but there's also been some players who have been good. They've contributed, they've helped them win Super Bowls, and that's really what you're asking for. I don't really care if a guy makes 7 straight Pro Bowls. If he's an impact player in a big game or in for 2 years or whatever, of course, I want that 7-time Pro Bowl. Everybody does. But do you know how rare that player is? That player doesn't, like, they're not everywhere. So that's my point where, like, I look at a guy as his impact.
Let's get Cam here. Cam, help your buddy out here and name some guys in the last 7 or 8 years.
I mean, he's named. I mean, Tooney, Winovich.
Okay, when I mean name some guys, name some better guys or some more guys.
I mean, does he get credit for Malcolm Butler? Malcolm Butler's an undrafted free agent. So we're like, that was another thing. People were like, oh, well, he sucks at drafting. So does J.C. Jackson and Malcolm Butler count? Like, those are undrafted free agent gems.
That have turned into NFL corners, correct.
Not NFL corners, like Pro Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, J.C. Jackson got snubbed last year, but I think Malcolm Butler was one.
He was. The year after the Super Bowl pick, he was. He was a
Pro Bowl, wasn't he, too?
Okay, so you want me to be the devil's advocate? Is Bruce Arians more successful percentage-wise than Bill Belichick? Because one season with Tom Brady, he won a Super Bowl. One.
He's batting 100.
Yeah, I mean, but the sample size, it's a 20-year sample size for one and a 1-year sample size for the other. So
Tom Brady's first year away from New England, they missed the playoffs and don't win 9 or more wins for the first time in over 20 years.
I think Tom Brady had a lot to do with that. I think the team around them also, was terrible. So
now, what do you say to the people that say Bill Belichick is great? However, the year before Tom Brady started, he had the number 1 overall pick and Drew Bledsoe won 5 games. The year after Tom Brady leaves, he has a former MVP, number 1 overall pick in Cam Newton, and they win 7 games.
I mean, I don't think the former MVP thing matters. I think
they're both number 1 overall picks.
Yeah,
okay, Rich Gannon's a former MVP. So, I mean, what are we going to say? I mean, Cam Newton was a great player. He's not a great player anymore.
Right. Things change over a decade. Cam Newton can't throw now.
He never really could.
The thing with Cam Newton, and I said this to Cam, because Cam has been all over the place with Cam Newton. It's hard to even keep track of where Cam has been going.
In his prime, I liked him. In Carolina, that MVP
and
year,
I know you did. And he had one great season. Cam Newton had a big arm and was a great athlete with 2 great tight ends and a great defense and a great running back. That one year, he had one great year when he had a weak schedule and his team was steamrolling, much like Lamar Jackson had one great year 2 years ago. I don't think either one of those guys will get even close to back to that level again. Right?
Right.
No, I agree. Yeah.
All right, guys. Great show. Jared, great take. You brought the fire. I appreciate it. Come on again anytime. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, guys.